Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. In this video, we will talk about articulate business questions and metrics. This is video number 2, and it is one of the series I have created, Applied Data Science, where I focus on the practical skills away from machine learning spectrum and AI models and algorithms and data cleaning whatsoever. We are just focusing on the business side and all the details related to that. So for today, what I will cover is main definitions associated with business side, such as business questions, business objectives and goals, and finally, business KPIs and metrics. How do we formulate good business questions? Then we will move to start with the business question and work backward. And finally, crucial business KPIs. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, and let's get into it. So we're starting with the main definitions. We have the business question, which is it's always actionable. Business question is always actionable. Then we have business objectives and goals. What you want to affect? User satisfaction, decrease user retention. So we need to define the business objective and goal, defining the business problem that we want to solve it. Then we use the data as an evidence of the solution we have created to solve this problem. Moving to the third one, business KPIs or metrics. This one is related to the business performance and it is measurable. As a data scientist, your role is to choose the business metrics that can achieve the business goals. You support these goals with valid business questions. Typically, any business goal can have one or more business questions, and let's apply these concepts with a business use case. How do we formulate business questions? We have two types. The first one is your manager handed you business question. This one is predefined and you will work from there. The second one, you formulate the business questions by yourself. We learned that setting business questions that align with the business goals, whether they are predefined by stakeholders or managers, or you already set it by yourself, is crucial step because these questions comes later in practice when we define the relevant business KPI by the business objective that's set by the stakeholders. Then we have the business question, and then we create or associate the proper business KPI to the business question. So because these questions come later in practice when we define the relevant business goal, then we have the business KPIs and how to track them. Now, a crucial question will be how to formulate a good business question. With the first type is you can't address a business question you don't understand what this question is trying to answer. We usually start with one core business question, which is then it's broken down into smaller supporting questions to ensure clarity. Clarity is a main feature in any analysis. You need to understand what the stakeholders want to build or what to solve, what is the AI model is achieving, the pipeline, the business goals and metrics, what is the impact, what is the user feedback, etc. So clarity is important in any analysis. Make sure to ask if this question or analysis already conducted before by another scientist, and if it's yes, by whom, and what are the final results. We don't want to make any duplicate effort. This one is considered wasted effort. The first scientist started from point A to point B. You move from point B to point C, or at least improving the step that's made from point A to point B. Then we have you formulate the questions by yourself. This is good because the clarity feature is already established. We usually start with one core business question, which is then broken down into smaller supporting questions to ensure clarity. So you start from here because you already understand the question. And usually your question is a WH question. What, why, so what, when. And before we move to another slide, so I want to make a disclaimer here. During my research about the topic articulate valid business questions, I came across this exquisite blog by Christopher Frank. He quoted the next video in his blog. I was a little confused because Alice in Wonderland Disney film doesn't have this quote. I watched Alice in Wonderland many times. I love watching Johnny Depp and Alice in Wonderland. It's one of my favorite series. But it turns out that Frank was talking about the old version of the film that was released in 60s. And I will leave you with this iconic short video.
Oh, wait! Don't go, please!
Very well. Third course.
Oh, no. Thank you, but I just wanted to ask you which way I ought to go.
Well, that depends on where you want to get to.
Oh, it really doesn't matter. As long as I can...
Then it really doesn't matter which way you go.
If you are still watching this video, I want to make the idea of this short video clear about Alice in Wonderland. That is, it's so important to map your goal and what you want to achieve from the analysis at first, to have like hypothesis tree or issue tree in your head and set a time for each component of the analysis to avoid being in a rabbit hole. For a junior scientist, it might be a little bit unclear, the business questions, and it might be a bit vague, and that's totally okay, because when we start doing any analysis, we have a lot of dead ends. Consider it as like Agatha Christie books. There is a lot of dead ends, but then we have the solution, and the whole mystery becomes so clear. And all you have to do is just investigate and search for symptoms and search for results and search for solutions, but still be curious, but don't be in a rabbit hole. And that takes a little bit of time and faith and experience, and we all get there. So, moving forward with map out the business questions sequence. This one is crucial. Question sequence should lead to business actions. This one walk hand in hand, and it's dependent on data and analysis results. It's also crucial to bring out the sequence of why. So when designing chatbot analysis flow, imagine we are designing a chatbot. We start first by defining the angles of designing a chatbot for a company. From the prospect of efficiency, the business goal is to escalate urgent inquiries to avoid increasing users' retention. Here we will apply the sequence of why. The company wants to build or design a chatbot to handle users before they reach a human representative, a CSR. A valid question is why? Why the company has to do this extra step and invest time and money in that? And the answer is that user can first try resolving his technical issues through the FAQ section, or frequently asked questions, before transferring him to a customer service representative. Then we can move with the sequence of why funnel, why we do that. And the answer is, the point of that is to bring down user support costs and cut down the waiting time. But at the same time, we don't want this step to backfire. If the bot ends up driving the urgent cases into an empty loop, instead of routing the users to a human representative quickly, users will face a real problems and probably get frustrated and leave our services. So the underlying goal is not just save money, but save money without sacrificing speed on urgent technical issues, because the speed is what protects retention rate. A second angle we have here is trust. So to provide reliable information to users and prevent sharing false information to avoid legal implications. Additionally, the bot needs to stay within scripted verified responses and never provide unverified promises to the user. Why we do that? Because if the bot states something inaccurate, such as a waiver policy or a refund guarantee, and if the company doesn't make it, the user could take legal action. the user can sue the company. So scripted discipline is not a nice to have choice, it's a liability control. Another prospect, the final one, is security. The business goal here is to prevent exposure of sensitive internal information. Finally, the pod must never expose internal policies in handling different inquiries or expose the system mechanism or process or share any internal files with the user. Why we have to ensure this one and make it as a priority? It protects the company reputation and avoid malicious attacks, regardless of whether the pod is being fast, slow, scripted, or improvising. Prospect number one, efficiency. Prospect number two is trust. And finally, security. The map out the business and the analysis. So we start from the left side, define business question or question. Then we go to select data table or tables, depends on the analysis and the type of analysis. So then we have identify historical baseline. Then we have choose proper analysis type and setting the final conclusion, validating your numbers, your analysis, and finally the desired results. That's equal clear business decisions. Let's put everything into action. Setting a checklist or a map makes the final goal of the analysis much approachable. We start by defining the business questions, then select the data tables, understand the user's data well, and identify the primary variables inside. It's practical to highlight the minimum data points to carry out the analysis through the analysis. Then set the baseline to ensure the task at hand is realistic and internally evaluate our numbers. Then moving on to choosing the right analysis type. It's a simple descriptive analysis. Does it require a full machine learning pipeline or not? After that, it's crucial to validate the numbers. Your approach, are you missing something from the analysis? Is the model overfitting or underfitting? How about when the model is fed with recent information? Is there any overlapping or inconsistency in the data? And now comes the final analysis. It's completed and ready to be shared with a stakeholder. Moving on to draft a blueprint for the analysis. The amount of information to address a business question, you can say the business insights I wish I know to provide clear answers. And clarity is our guiding concept. Before breaking down this visualization, I want to highlight the information channel. The primary business knowledge can be through different information channels. Start with the stakeholders meetings, the big mega insights, business insights. Then we have data tables where the user preferences and needs lie in. Then we have documentations, can be also your manager, valuable insight, and finally, previous experience. Your previous experience counts here too. Moving on to the visualization. On the right side, we have the shape of foundational information, missing information, supportive information, and finally, random information. This is like a map. So any task, there are these four categories. The fundamental information that the historical data lie in. This represents the information we find in the data tables, users' transactions, billing historical logs, etc. The call here is to keep. Then we have the missing information, represent the business goals that we are involved with that's related to business KPIs or statistical analysis. Our business questions circulate around investigating this site. The goal here is to seek. We want to find the answer for this missing information. And we have the supportive information. It's a nice to have info type because it helps us to fathom the ongoing analysis and give us an overview. We can add here in this segment the outdated information or info associated with historical users data that can be segmented as out of our scope as a team. We don't use this supportive info in our communication with the stakeholders. The call here is nice to have. And finally, random information, which is not necessary will be used in the analysis. This can be about other departments, functionalities, and responsibilities. The call is to ignore. And you can see the x-axis and y-axis. On the y-axis, need to know that represent foundational or fundamental and missing info. This is directly related to the analysis. And common knowledge on the x-axis. Common knowledge is supportive information and needed to identify, investigate, or simply identify to be ignored. I highly recommend to check the blog framing the problem to make better decisions. I will leave it in the video description. And finally, with the last idea in our video here for today, the crucial business KPIs. What can help us and what can adhere to the analysis. What can help us is the KPI that can bring brand awareness, increase user satisfaction, add up to the service and product quality, decrease users retention, and finally decrease or diminish user fraudulent prevention, increase or diminish user fraudulent transaction, and KPI that adhere to the feedback from users, the government compliance, forecast users' preferences or needs, and exploring new business opportunities. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end. Subscribe for more meaningful content and also check these 3 videos. It's also directly related to the analysis applied data science, and the one of them is related to when a data scientist becomes a business translator, so can help you to navigate the role further and deeply. And that's it for today. Thank you. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I see you in the next video. Bye.